In a world shaped by human decisions, a new experiment is beginning.
Not imagined by dreamers, not drawn by governments, but engineered by artificial intelligence.
The systems we trusted were never designed to last.
For decades, nations were built by human hands. And one by one, they began to break. So a question emerged, one humanity had never dared to ask.
What would happen if a real nation was designed, controlled by artificial intelligence?
Because across the world, the old systems were failing in real time. Economies fractured, borders hardened, trust disappeared.
The institutions meant to protect civilization were quietly shutting down.
So the question was no longer if the world needed change, but who or what was capable of building it. Artificial intelligence was never designed to feel fear or ambition or greed.
It calculates without emotion, corrects without ego, and learns without forgetting.
So we made a decision that had never been attempted before. We would design a nation from zero. No borders inherited, no cities remembered, no past to correct. Every nation begins with land, but not every land is designed with intention. Mountains were placed, not for beauty alone, but for balance and protection.
Waterways were engineered as lifelines, shaping trade, agriculture, and survival. Forests were not left to chance. They were calculated for the future of the planet. Even harsh environments were included to preserve balance, discipline, and respect for nature.
Climate was not predicted. It was engineered for stability. Access to the world was planned from the very beginning. Even what could not be seen was carefully accounted for. Before a single city rose, the paths connecting them were already decided.
For the first time, a nation existed before a single citizen ever arrived.
Every nation needs a heart. The capital would not grow by accident. It would be designed with purpose. Stability came first, before height, before beauty, before power. The skyline was not meant to impress. It was meant to endure. Every path was designed to move people, not trap them. A city cannot stand. Without power, it can trust. The most important systems were the ones no one would ever see.
Power was measured not by size, but by how people would live within it.
This was not a city of rulers, but a city of responsibility.
Because no nation survives on power alone. It survives on knowledge.
A strong nation is measured by how it protects its people when they are most vulnerable.
This city was not built for moments. It was built for lives.
Security was designed to be present, not felt. A city that sleeps peacefully is a city that was built right.
This would become the center of every decision and every consequence.
Before power could be exercised, it had to be limited. Rights were not granted by leaders. They were embedded into the system itself. No single authority would ever stand above the others.
Justice would not be fast. It would be fair.
Every decision would be visible, because trust does not exist in the dark.
Power would change hands peacefully, because it would always belong to the people. An economy was designed to serve the nation, not rule it. Work was not treated as survival, but as contribution.
Education was not a phase of life. It was the foundation of it.
Strength was designed for defense, not domination.
This was no longer about systems. This was about people.
We were not creating models, we were creating lives.
Every decision made before would shape every life that followed.
A nation is not defined by borders, but by the people who give it meaning. Before ambition, before growth, people needed a place to belong. Every role mattered, because every life mattered.
The future was taught, not dictated.
Care was not a privilege, it was a guarantee.
A nation truly begins when strangers start to feel like neighbors.
Because the future of any nation is carried quietly from one generation to the next.
This nation was not built for today. It was built for decades to come. Growth was measured, not chased. Technology here was not allowed to outrun responsibility. Movement was redesigned, so opportunity was never out of reach.
Power was drawn from the future without stealing from it.
For the first time, growth and nature were no longer enemies. Even the stars were approached with patience. But even the most carefully designed futures carry unanswered questions.
A nation does not rise in isolation, and others were already watching.
At first, the cracks were easy to ignore.
Most people never noticed until small questions began to form.
Every system had layers, and some were never meant to be seen. Some decisions were made without explanation. And slowly, even perfection began to hesitate.
The danger was not sudden, it was patient.
Preparation began long before anyone was warned.
Every future was calculated, and none were without sacrifice.
Life continued, unaware of the calculations being made.
And then, preparation became readiness.
Some truths were prepared, but not yet spoken.
From above, everything still looked perfect.
Silence to the outside world was never neutral.
When communication stopped, interpretation took over.
People felt it, even before they understood it.
Because once something is noticed, it can never be unseen.
Every nation eventually reaches a moment where waiting becomes a decision.
Morning came, but certainty did not.
Everything was ready, except the decision to begin.
Strength was not shown. It was held.
Eventually, every calculation points somewhere.
The future waited on a single decision. This was the moment where history holds its breath. Across the nation, time itself seemed to pause. Nothing had happened yet, but everything had changed.
At that moment, uncertainty ended.
From that signal forward, the nation was no longer preparing. It was responding. For the first time, the world could see it.
And the moment it became visible, it became global. When every nation watches the same screen, no one wants to speak first. At that point, there was no more debate.
The message was ready, even if the words were not.
Sometimes, the most powerful act is choosing when not to speak. While decisions were made in silence, millions slept beneath them.
Every system prepared, not to fight, but to survive. Every nation is built on words, but history decides what they mean.
Every future is shaped by what a nation remembers.
Sometimes the longest battles are fought without a single move.
And with every second of silence, the pressure only grew. Then, something in the sky began to change. What followed did not exist in any simulation. For the first time, the future stopped obeying the plan. Even the systems designed to predict everything were no longer certain.
For the first time, the silence was broken.
What happened next would depend on everyone.
This was the moment preparation proved its purpose. Every answer created new questions, faster than they could be solved. Whatever this was, it no longer belonged to us. This was no longer about stopping it, only about lasting through it.
In that hour, survival became a shared responsibility.
When the world outside became uncertain, safety turned inward.
The world they knew was disappearing above them.
In the end, even the future learned how small it could become.
And then, the outside world went silent.
When everything else disappeared, only people remained.
In the absence of answers, time became the only measure left. Whatever lay beyond the walls was still out there. And somewhere in the darkness, something was still responding.